of these 9 figures, letters, fathers, your favorite is?
Oh, it's going to be a toss-up between Ignatius of Antioch and Irenaeus of Lyons in different ways.
Okay, explain
Ignatius,
the differences.
the force of his writings, the role he played in my conversion to Catholicism and my introduction to just what I'm going to call kind of early Christianity, the sort of the level of conviction that you see in his writings. For our listeners who haven't read him, he was the bishop of Antioch over in the sort of what we would call Syria nowadays, over in the Eastern Mediterranean. And he was, where they were first called Christians in the Acts of the Apostles. And he was a major figure in the early church. And he was arrested by the Romans. And he is being led in, they don't move as quickly. They don't have like airplanes that they could he's not loaded onto like a cargo plane or whatever. They're taking him in a land procession all the way back to Rome. And while they're doing that, they're passing through Asia Minor, or what we nowadays would call more or less Turkey. Borders change over time. And as he's being led to his death, he's writing letters to a number of the individual churches in Western Turkey, a number of the same places where like the individual churches addressed in the book of Revelation, for example, maybe only a decade later, and maybe even addressed to the same bishop of Smyrna, who may or may not have been Polycarp at that time. And so there's real continuity here. Ignatius is being led to his death, and he's encouraging people to hold on to the faith, to avoid the people that would divide the church during his lifetime, who have a kind of a particular color into them based on their, particular difficulties. And the most shocking thing about Ignatius, and the thing I think that is most challenging for us today when we read him, that he's actually not only enduring death, but he's anticipating it as a way to become closer to Christ and to give a witness to the churches and to strengthen the churches. And so if you read his epistle to the Romans, which is incredibly powerful, he writes ahead from Turkey to the Church of Rome, asking them, because in the Church of Rome, they have a number of influential members who probably have access to the imperial court, and they perhaps could have gotten his sentence commuted or lessened. And he actually writes ahead asking them not to, because he wants to be fed to the wild beasts. And so far as we know, he was fed to wild beasts. And that sounds like a relatively horrible way to die. It probably happened in one of the Colosseums there. And Ignatius is like, he's eating this up. He says how I'm going to become a disciple of Jesus Christ. It's incredibly inspiring. The guy's hardcore. And, I think we're kind of like flabby Christians today. I mean, no offense to anybody in particular that's listening. I would include myself in that in any number of respects, right? I'm kind of like a bourgeois, sort of like, middle class American, whatever, just trying to somehow live out my Catholic faith. Okay. And well,
David, may I just interrupt you? You said something great. He was eating it up as he was being eaten up.
That's right.
Well, great phrase.
Who's eating who here?
Wow. That gave me something to think about. That's a homily.
Well, that's like what Augustine says about the Eucharist. I mean, who's eating who here? Are we eating Christ? Are we taking Christ into ourselves? Yes, except he's greater than we are, and so he's actually devouring us. And he doesn't become a member of our body; we become a member of his. Who's eating who here? Right. And that's kind of the dynamic you see in Ignatius too. Are the lions devouring Ignatius, or is Ignatius, being devoured by his charity, which is burnt? He's a whole burnt offering being offered up to Christ. So Ignatius is incredibly inspiring. He's also my confirmation saint.
Oh, is that right? And in the Office of Readings, there's a beautiful passage of his death, right? Right, and they quote him about how he wants to be ground in the mouth of the beast, right?
Thanks for watching. Before you go, please be sure to subscribe, like, hit the bell, leave a comment down below. All of that stuff helps us reach more souls.